What's up, mi gente? Are you looking for mentorship and the plays to secure the big bag? Have you ever watched me here on the Banking on Cultura podcast and thought to yourself, you know what? I want to work with Victoria Jen. Or maybe you thought to yourself, I want to be a part of her network of badass women and entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? You absolutely can. Join me this November 15th through the 16th in the heart of New York City for my 7th annual Secure the Big Bag and Wellness Summit. Let's face it, so many of us are tired, burnt out, ready to throw in the towel, honey, and quite frankly, we want to dedicate ourselves to the soft life. But what if there was a way for us to achieve both time and financial freedom and also have a healthy, well-balanced life? What if you could secure the big bag, build a business that fuels you versus drains you, as well as build a solid network of business besties who want to support and motivate you while also centering self? This summit is the premier destination for the latest marketing, sales, and AI tools that can 10x your business while also nurturing your well-being. Learn from top experts from both business and wellness, including executives from the corporate sector, so that you can explore corporate-level opportunities that can elevate your business to new heights. Ensuring you're not just prepared, but fully equipped to dominate in 2025 and beyond. This is your opportunity for your business to thrive while you do too. Head over to securethebigbag.com to check out the agenda and all the heavy hitters that will be in the building. I cannot wait to see you in New York City, mi gente. It's go time.
Hola, mi gente. This is Audrey Puente. I'm a television meteorologist here in New York City, and I just finished an amazing podcast. It's Banking on Cultura with Victoria Jen Rodriguez, who, by the way, fabulous interviewer. She was able to pull some things out of me that I've never talked about before. So if you're looking to find out stuff no one's heard before, check out the podcast. It's a good one. I will pay to take you to a series of conferences of things that you are passionate about, because I learned more at conferences than I ever did in the classroom.
Did you ever feel like pressure to be amazing and to do amazing things?
My father was Tito Puente, Latin jazz artist.
Tito Puente.
Yeah.
Put some respect on that man's name. Thank you very much.
I felt like I did the work and I earned the spot. That was on the money. I mean, every single thing. I was like, yup. I would say.
Oh my God, Audrey Puente
Yes.
is the listener of Banking on Cultura. Like, I can't, and she's a guest now. Okay, sorry.
I had to pop in a few. I had to get a few episodes in. I was like, let me see what's going on over here. Yeah, I love being Puerto Rican, and if I'm shying away from it, how is that showing the cultura that I actually do feel proud of being Puerto Rican?
Yeah. If you want to see the change, you have to be a part of the change.
I've never actually talked about this.
Okay,
Yes.
Banking on Cultura exclusive. That's what we like.
I've never talked about this in public.
What's up, mi gente? Welcome back to Banking on Cultura. I am your host, Victoria Jen Rodriguez. And you know, on this show, we talk about the vibrancy and complexity of Latino culture, entrepreneurship, and of course, all the bochinche in between. Now, my guest today is I would say she's not shy on camera. That's number one. You've probably seen her on your TV screen in the mornings or in the evenings. Or you might know her from her amazing family that has contributed so much to Latino culture when it comes to music, jazz, and just adding so much, I would say, color to our cultura. And it is my absolute honor. Like, this is a little fangirl moment for me. So, guys, follow along with me, okay? But I am truly honored to have none other than the Miss Audrey Puente. I'm Banking on Cultura.
Gosh, wow, that was quite an introduction. And I'm fangirling you because I had found you on Instagram and was following you, and all your inspirational like shares are just amazing.
Thank you. You know what's so crazy about that is, like, you found me, like the Audrey Puente found me. And I think that really goes to show, like, you never know. You never know, like, where your content is going, who is seeing your content.
Listen,
who
don't
is
sell yourself
vibing with your
short.
content.
Like, when there's powerful Latinas, I'm bound to find you, and I will follow you.
I love
That's what
that.
happens.
I love that. See, you're a Latinas girl.
Yeah,
we need,
for sure.
We need more of that
I
in the
absolutely
community.
am. Especially if you have like the Puerto Rican flag on your bio, it's an instant follow. Instant.
You know, I recently added that. I've added that like a couple of months ago because I was like, you know what? we're going to stand out here
Yes.
with my Boricua flag. And, in true Boricua fashion, we're very prideful.
Right. And we love our flag.
Right. We love our flag. Okay. So for the people who don't know you, please introduce yourself.
Okay. So I happen to be a television meteorologist in New York City. I'm going on 25 years in New York City. I'm like, when did that happen? When did that happen? I don't know. So I've been in the business for approximately about 30 years. And how did that happen? And that's my main gig. I am a mom of 3 teenagers, have a few side hustles of my own. And, I love being on social media and inspiring folks. And if you follow me, Audrey Puente, at Audrey Puente. I do a lot of weather inspiration because I find that I like to help people weather their storms, whether it's in the environment or in life.
And your social media is hysterical, by the way. Like sometimes when you post things,
Tell me what you think is funny.
Like you'll post something about like having like a bad hair day, but then you'll correlate it to something else, and it's just so funny. Like how you integrate. When you have your son on your post, when you put it in like your stories,
yes.
I always get a nice giggle out of that. Or whenever you give us a behind the scenes of when you're at the studio and you're telling us.
There's a lot of material there. I don't even post nearly half of what actually happens in my daily life. Yeah.
Amazing. So we like to kick off the show with some bochinche. So tell us something we can't Google about you.
Okay, so it's interesting because we had talked about a couple of things before, and I just thought of the other day, I secretly judged for the Grammys since I was a teenager.
What?
Okay, yeah. I feel like I've never actually talked about this.
Okay, Banking on Cultura exclusive. That's what we like.
I've never talked about this in public. So Okay. So my father was Tito Puente, Latin jazz artist.
Tito Puente. Yeah. Put some respect on that man's name. Thank you very much.
Warranted for sure, yes. So he obviously got nominated for many Grammys every year. And what happens is when you, in the Grammy world, if you have a recording of any sort, it automatically goes into nominations or the options to be nominated type of thing. Now, I don't know how they narrowed it down to the actual nominees that happen. But what happens is my father back then, because back then it was on paper. I'm sure they do it electronically now. They used to mail him a packet with all the nominations for the Grammys of every single category. And there's usually 5 nominations in every category. And so he would fill it out. You literally like check off and fill out in a ballot at the time. That's how it was done back then. I'm talking like late 70s, going to the 80s, right? And so I would see it eventually, and I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? I think I eventually asked him one time, this is middle school, and he told me how it was. But he would ask me about some of the artists, because when it came to the Latin artists, he knew everyone who he wanted to check off. Because the votes are done by people, like you're voted by your peers in the Grammys. Mm-hmm. So he would I would look through the packet, and I would see, you name it, like Madonna, Michael Jackson, things like that. And he would allow me to pick out other categories. So as I got older, he would just hand me the packet. He would hand me the packet. He would just do all the Latin artists, the Latin categories, and then hand me the packet for the rest. And I literally voted like for, record of the year, album of the year, from all categories, like from, oh my God, jazz. Although he probably did the jazz ones. He definitely did the Latin ones, but I did most of the pop culture ones. Uh-huh. And I did that every year for like a decade.
That's so cool.
Yes.
That you got to experience that.
Yeah. It's a little known fact.
So what was it like growing up with a celebrity dad, like who was so respected in the genre he was in musically, but also in the community? Like, what was that like?
What's interesting, I was born into it, so I didn't know anything different. It was just my upbringing. It wasn't like one day he became famous. And so growing up, I just remember my house being very loud because there was a radio in every single room. My dad constantly had Latin music or the Latin music stations playing in every room. And we always had a cast of characters coming in and out because musicians are, they're interesting.
Characters.
Yes, they're characters.
Artists, creatives.
I mean, I'm talking like, Celia Cruz, Wow. I mean, when she walks in the door, it's magnanimous, her presence, Carlos Santana. I mean, name them. They probably were in my house, right? Johnny Pacheco, another one always around. Yolanda Duque, La India, So there was always these people that with huge presence, like these are, they have to have big egos. They're very big and magnanimous,
Yes.
all of them. And so I was constantly surrounded by this greatness of all kinds, even though it was all one genre of music, but they all had their individual place, in that genre. And so with that said, though, I also lived in a neighborhood that was, suburban New York. I lived in Rockland County growing up, and wanted to have it like tamed down, that we had this loud household, right? With all these like characters coming in and out all the time, and musicians and bands playing and things like that. Because also when we got together, whether it was at my house or someone like Martin Cohen's house, that was a big one. He was the creator of Latin Percussion, which is the instrument company.
Okay.
There were jam sessions no matter whose house you were at. There was always a party. Picture any Latinos. They always have parties, right? But when you have it with musicians, there's a jam session going on. It was pretty wild till late in the night. And so it was very loud. That's my childhood. Like, it was always me. And then traveling the world with my father when he went on tour. When I was little, I didn't go that much because we had school. But when we got older, my younger brother and I, we would go on tour with them. At the time, of course, I didn't appreciate it. I was a teenager who wanted to hang out with my friends, and I was being dragged around like, Switzerland for New Year's and things like that.
Right, living such a dope life.
Right, and right now I realize what it sounds like, because when I was living it, it was, it's somewhat annoying because I was a teenager who just wanted to be with my friends, like any normal teenager. Now, looking back, of course, I'm like, wow, I really lived an exceptional childhood and teenage years, and I have great gratitude for it all. And I really started to turn it when I think I got in my 20s. That's when it really started to turn. I started realizing, oh wow, this is different.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Like, you always hear artists say like their kids humble them, because like your kids don't really care.
Girl, I got stories. I'll tell you my favorite dad story. So my father, of course, worked late nights all the time. And God bless him, he always woke up in the morning to say goodbye to my brother and I when we would go to school. Uh-huh. And I'm talking, this is a man who would come in at 4 a.m. and still got up like at 7 a.m. to say goodbye. Now, our bus stop in elementary school and middle school was right across the street from where we lived in the house. So all the neighborhood kids would be at that bus stop. So there's my dad would be at the door waving goodbye, but in his bathrobe or like his pajamas, because he had just gotten home 2 or 3 hours earlier, right, from work. And I was like, oh my God, please, can you please not come to the door? It's embarrassing because everyone else's dad is going out with their suits and their briefcases, and you're in your pajamas at 7 a.m. And I remember at one point actually telling my dad and my mom, like, can't dad go to an office like everyone else's parents? Not knowing. I'm telling the great Tito Puente, can you please, like, do you really
get an office job?
Do you need to play drums? I don't know how to tell my friends when they ask what your parents, you play drums.
Wow.
Right. Not realizing at all. So it's funny. So in that sense, I guess we humbled my dad, because we'd be like, really? You play drums? Like, not realizing like
no big deal.
Right. Like who he is.
Yeah.
It didn't hit me until later on into my teenage years. And I was like, okay.
I bet you would give anything for him to come to the door in his robe now.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something I spoke about at his eulogy, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. All the sounds, and not the music sounds, the other sounds of being my father.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Daddy's girls. Be the best.
Girl,
I
right
love
here.
it.
I'm here.
We're blessed to be daddy's girls. Okay, so you said you grew up around greatness, right? You had highly influential folks coming in and out of your house, all these influences on you. Did you ever feel like pressure to be amazing and to do amazing things? What's up, mi gente? Are you looking for mentorship and the place to secure the big bag? Have you ever watched me here on the Banking on Cultura podcast and thought to yourself, you know what? I want to work with Victoria Jen. Or maybe you thought to yourself, I want to be a part of her network of badass women and entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? You absolutely can. Join me this November 15th through the 16th in the heart of New York City for my 7th annual Secure the Big Bag and Wellness Summit. Let's face it, so many of us are tired, burnt out, ready to throw in the towel, honey, and quite frankly, we want to dedicate ourselves to the soft life. But what if there was a way for us to achieve both time and financial freedom and also have a healthy, well-balanced life? What if you could secure the big bag, build a business that fuels you versus drains you, as well as build a solid network of business besties who want to support and motivate you while also centering self? This summit is the premier destination for the latest marketing, sales, and AI tools that can 10x your business while also nurturing your well-being. Learn from top experts from both business and wellness, including executives from the corporate sector, so that you can explore corporate-level opportunities that can elevate your business to new heights. Ensuring you're not just prepared, but fully equipped to dominate in 2025 and beyond. This is your opportunity for your business to thrive while you do too. Head over to securethebigbag.com to check out the agenda and all the heavy hitters that will be in the building. I cannot wait to see you in New York City, mi gente. It's go time.
Actually, no, I did not. I think I just absorbed it. My father, and people always ask me, things I've learned from him. The greatest lesson I learned was to follow my passion. He specifically told me, figure out what it is you love to do, and you figure out how to get paid to do it, and you'll never feel like you're working. And I know people have said this in various ways, but it was so true, because I love weather. I love meteorology. And once I figured out how to do that and have a job doing it, because I didn't think that was a possibility. I actually went to college to be a lawyer, right? And it was my last semester where I had an internship opening in the weather department at a local TV station, and I jumped in, and it changed the trajectory of my life. Wow. And I was so passionate about it, and still am. I often say, don't tell my bosses that I would do this for free.
Right.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
And he was on the money. I mean, it was so, he just led by example. And I was surrounded by all of these other people that they were so passionate about everything they did. And I just absorbed it. I feel like it was just, I ate it up.
Yeah. So a Latina meteorologist, how?
Right.
How did you know you were fascinated by the weather?
My earliest memories were hurricanes Gloria and that came through and actually broke through a window in my kitchen when I was little. And Frederick was the hurricane that came before that. So we had 2 in a row at this time. And I just remember just being fascinated by the whole thing and the flooding water that came in the window. I know it may sound scary, and it was, but I don't know, for some reason it just clicked. And I always found myself, when my parents would watch the news, because back in the 70s and 80s, the news was on. Like when it came on, people watched. It's not like today where things are streaming, you can watch it whenever you want. When the news came on, everyone had to sit down and watch it at that time. But I was always interested in the weather part, always. And I was able to go to NBC studios at 11. My dad brought me because who he was. Of course, I didn't know at the time.
Right.
I just thought he knew somebody that he could hook us up, not because he was Tito Puente and they would let him into. So I came and was introduced to Frank Field, who was a legendary meteorologist or weather person on NBC. And he put me in front of that green wall, chroma key. And I was fascinated by the whole thing. I'm like, wow, this is just amazing. I met Chuck and Sue Simmons, Chuck Scarborough, Sue Simmons, their legendary team here in New York City. And it was such an impact on me that now to this day, when people come to visit or they bring their kids, I'm aware of what this moment can do. So I really pay attention and show them everything I possibly can while they're doing that quick visit, because it was quick when I made but that was it. I knew that, wow, this is something I'm really into.
That was the seed.
It was. And it didn't, again, click until the internship I had when I was in my last semester in college, and that changed my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So you have had a fascinating career. So 25 years plus doing the damn thing. So when you first started, did you feel like, because you come from such a well-known family, did you feel like you had to kind of trailblaze your own lane, prove yourself, I didn't get here because of my dad, I got here because I earned it. I put in the sweat equity.
Yes, and I did put in the sweat equity, I feel like. It's interesting, it never dawned on me that anybody would hire me because I'm Tito Puente's daughter. It just didn't. I felt like I did the work and I earned the spot. I really did. When I decided I wanted to do meteorology on TV or be a television meteorologist, I was on my path to law school, and I graduated, and I told my parents, I'm not going to law school. And they said, what, really? What are you going to do? Because the plan was for me to be an attorney in the music industry. That was the plan.
Okay.
Because I was the bookworm of the family. So they said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do, they're like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to do weather on television. They said, what is that? And I said, I'm going to figure it out. And I did. And once I figured out what was required to learn to do, I did what I had to do. And so with that said is that I studied meteorology. I ended up going to take classes in New York City while working behind the scenes at a television station, which ironically is the one I work at now. It was my first TV job out of college. Mind you, I got in the door because my father knew somebody. I said, hey, Felipe Luciano, he's a legendary broadcaster also. Hey, I'm interested in TV. Can we meet? And boom, that set me up as a trainee at Fox 5. And so I did the thing. Like, I had to study meteorology. I ended up, learning about being in front of a chroma key. I absorbed everything I could, tugging on, Al Roker's jacket. He eventually became my mentor, Whatever weather person was around, I asked questions. I came in on weekends with Nick Gregory at the time, who's I'm now working with, but I used to come in on weekends.
Amazing.
And I showed interest. I was eager. I was willing to do the work. And so, I eventually went back to college, got my master's in meteorology. So I did all the things that were required. So I feel like I did earn the spot. And back then, women, we were barely out there. And Latin women, there was no one. Yeah. I saw no one. So in a way, I sort of thought, there is my opening, so to speak. I saw the opportunity. I'm like, where are we? Like, we're not being represented here. I mean, my role models growing up were, Edith Chacon, Rita Moreno, Maria on Sesame Street, so I sort of somehow was aware that I was trailblazing. I was setting the tone, like, this is it. And again, I was just following my passion. Yeah. And listen, I realized I was the only female Latina in the room. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's sort of, I think it made me, I think the men especially were amused by me at first, but once I would open my mouth and prove that, no, I actually earned my way here, it became a different story. And I feel like I earned the respect over time because, again, I did the work.
Yeah, and you definitely have made a name for yourself, winning 4 Emmys and just killing it. And we're going to circle back to that because I want to know what's the process of getting an Emmy, okay? Because Banking on Cultura needs an Emmy. But you said something really significant that I think a lot of our listeners, our audience can really resonate with and perhaps even struggling with right now. You said you were in school, you had this path. You were on the path to law school. You were going to be a lawyer in the music industry. And then last semester, you decided to pivot, flip the script. So a lot of folks find themselves on this path, right? I went to school for this. I'm working in this industry. So this is it. This is what I'm going to do. What advice would you have for someone who is over kind of the routine of their lives, even though their area of expertise is in something, but they want to pivot, but they just don't know how? What would be your advice to them?
Well, I think initially I would offer to be clear. What is it exactly that you actually want, right? Because you can't put in the GPS, I want to go to Connecticut, right? You need to have an exact address to get to where you want to be. So once you're super clear to what exactly you want, like for me, I knew like I want to do television. I want to be a television meteorologist in New York City. And New York City was because it was my home, whether it was, Cleveland or wherever, I wanted to go home. So, and then you reverse engineer. Once you're clear on what it is that you want, where you want to go and what you want to be, reverse engineer. What do I need to do to get there? What are the steps? I mean, now we have Google. I didn't have that. I had Barnes and Noble, so and I also went to a lot of conferences back then. I networked my way through as well. Every job I ever got, I did get because I knew somebody, but it's not how you think. I did it because I went to these conferences and networked and, maintained relationships, followed up, all the things. And in fact, you did a podcast on this recently.
About a conference?
No, how to network at conferences.
Yes.
That's right. You gave amazing tips. I meant to reach out to you to tell you that was on the money. I mean, every single thing. I was like, yep. I would say.
Oh my God, Audrey Puente is the listener of Banking on Cultura. Like I can't, and she's a guest now. Okay, sorry.
I had to pop in a few. I had to get a few episodes in. I was like, let me see what's going on over here. Yeah, I was very impressed. You really nailed it on that podcast. Whatever number that is, put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So once you're clear, I feel like then it's about reverse engineering. Now, I don't recommend like jumping, full in without a plan of sorts. And some people say, you should have a job, don't go after the next job until, in other words, have a job before you.
Yes.
Don't
or you
quit,
go after the next one.
Or, don't quit your job right now until you have the next one in place. Something like that, right? So, and listen, there were times where I didn't have the next job, but I still believed in what I was doing and I was focused. So it depends on the individual, where are you at and what kind of risk you're willing to take or can responsibly take, actually. Because you need to be responsible if you have a family, things like that. I mean, I did all this when I was, young. I was in my teens and 20s. So that's the time to take risks.
Did you feel like it was easier for you to pivot like at a younger age? Like, what about people who have more seasonality? Let's say you got 30 years in the game somewhere or a decade and you're like, oh, this isn't for me anymore. Like, how would you suggest they pivot? Same way or something different?
Same, I think. I think now it's so much easier, I would say, to make that pivot because with the internet, I mean, the possibilities are so endless in careers that you can create for yourself now. I mean, entrepreneurship is amazing right now. I mean, people can create so many different new things of what they're passionate about. I mean, I have ideas of my own about my what's next, and I see how it's possible with just being on your phone. I mean, you could build things right off your phone. It's amazing.
I think you said something that was really important, and I want to drive home for folks. It's you had this internship, and that was like it. Everything clicked, and I think that's a great takeaway for folks is put yourself in new environments, do something you've never done, volunteer, because that's what's going to expose you. And I think this is really helpful also for someone who is stuck, who doesn't know what they want to do, who doesn't know the exact address in Connecticut. They just know Connecticut.
Right.
They don't know exactly where in Connecticut they want to go, right? Using your example. So it's important for you to go outside and participate and experience and shadow someone and ask someone for their time and pick their brain and do your research.
I will say, again, be clear. First, you got to be clear about what you want to do. And because how are you going to meet people and then you'd be like, I don't really know. When they ask you.
What if you're not clear? What if you're like in that phase?
Great question. I would offer to really explore what are you truly passionate about? What would you be willing to do that you actually didn't get paid for? And I'm not saying don't get paid. I'm just saying, I feel about that way about the weather. I'm already looking at the weather maps. It's something I do when I'm not actually at the physical job anyway. So how great is it that I actually get paid to do what I would be doing it anyway, And so what are those things? What do people tell you that you would be good at? Right? That people get that a lot. Oh, you'd be good at this, you'd be good at that. Pay attention to those things. What do you feel in your gut that truly gives you, puts a smile on your face to actually be doing, right? Whether it's it could be gardening, right? It could be floral arrangement, whatever it is, hair, cutting hair, styling it, whatever it is. Then there's a conference for everything. There is a conference for everything. Even so much so, when my daughter, my oldest, was thinking about whether she was going to go to college or not, I actually gave her the offer, listen, if you want to take a gap year or maybe not go at all, but take a year, I will pay to take you to a series of conferences of things that you are passionate about, because I learned more at conferences than I ever did in the classroom. Granted, I needed my meteorology degree, but going to conferences and networking, they have workshops, there's seminars. I mean, the networking is just invaluable.
Right.
It's worth every penny if you really love fitness or whatever it is. So I told my daughter, name 5 things you're interested in and I'll be willing to spend this X amount of money and we'll find a conference and we'll go, and just to explore.
Yeah.
I would offer that would be a good way to jump in.
I love that. You want to adopt me?
And listen, if money is a thing, which it is for some folks, there's free things all over the place. I mean, come on. You can start with Facebook groups. There's free meetups. They're everywhere. You just do your homework. I know if money's an issue, I know you at least have a cell phone and an internet connection, so you can Google anything.
Right. Or not, go to the library.
Right.
There's Wi-Fi over there. Yeah. So let's go back to Emmys. So 4-time Emmy Award winner. How does that come about? How do you get an Emmy?
Okay, so I didn't know for quite a while, believe it. I didn't start getting them until I figured out, that's how? And that's when I started earning them. Okay. So you literally submit a piece of work into the Emmy nomination process. They don't come find you. You have to put yourself in the pool to be nominated. I didn't know that either for a long time in my career. Never thought to ask, and no one told me.
Okay.
So once I found out, I was like, I think I might have asked one day, hey, how'd you get that Emmy? How does it work? Oh, you submit your work. So in television, we literally find pieces that we do, and we enter them in submission. Now, the way it works in the New York Emmys that I am a part of, those submissions get narrowed down, I think, at some point. I'm not actually sure about that part, but what happens is, because I'm actually a judge in the New York Emmys, but anyone who's in the industry can be a judge. I volunteer to do so.
Okay.
So not everybody does it because it is time consuming, but I do it regularly.
Okay.
So what happens is I then receive, once I'm accepted to a certain panel to judge, and I always do weather. I only do weather.
Damn, I was about to be like, you could.
Oh, I'll hook you up? No. Well, that's the thing. They don't allow you to judge in the region that you are actually in. So I don't judge anyone here in the Northeast. Right.
Interesting.
I can only judge anywhere else across the country other than the region that I'm in. That's how they keep it fair.
Yeah.
Being in weather, though, I've been around for a while and I've met a lot of people. So I do tend to see people that I know, but I'm very, I do it right. I follow the rules. Yes, I follow the rules. And so what happens is, for someone like me, there's certain criteria. Like you get judged on three things. It's usually content, creativity, and execution. And then they have the requirements under those specific things. Is this the content of the category? And because there's certain things, like it could be weather presentations, or it could be a weather story. Like, you don't have to be a meteorologist to win a weather Emmy. You could have done a story on a weather event that went out in the news. There's all kinds of things. There's long format, short format. There's a lot of different categories.
Okay.
Gosh, I think there's over 60 categories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What time of year does this normally happen?
I'm judging right now, actually. It happens year round because each of the regions have their award ceremonies at a different time.
Okay.
Yeah. Now to submit it, they changed it. Now it's from January 1st to December 31st of the year before. So right now we're in 2024.
Okay.
So submissions would be for January 1st to basically for all of 2023, from the first of the year to the last day.
Okay.
And that would, so in other words, when we have our ceremony, the actually Emmy Awards that will happen in the fall, right?
This fall, it would be for...
You're winning for 2023. Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
So I should be submitting now for 2024 for fall 2025 to get awarded.
Well, there'll be a window to submit.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll let you know.
All right.
You have to check in with them, and then you I forgot when the window is actually.
Okay, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna do some research.
Yeah, there's a window.
Figure it out. Okay.
Because the window closed for New York, this region, because right now we have our nominations list out. So I'm up for another nomination.
Listen, Tokyo-ish, girl. Yes.
I'm currently nominated, right? So you only submit during the window time. There's a certain I think like 2 months. They tell you, oh, this is the deadline to submit, and then they go out and they get judged, and then you find out at the award ceremony whether you win or not.
Where do you have your Emmys?
I have them proudly displayed on a nice display table. When you walk in, it's like boom, people see them.
Like in your home.
Yes.
Lovely.
There's 4 of them right there.
Lovely.
Glistening in gold.
Lovely. I think that's so cool.
It is. I was floored when I saw my first one because I've seen them before, and it's weird. I never thought I would have one. I never thought to have one. I never thought I would have one. I didn't think I couldn't have one.
Right.
I just didn't know what to do. And then when I figured it out, again, just find out what you need to do.
So you can nominate yourself?
No.
Meaning you're submitting on your behalf.
Right. Correct.
And then a committee decides who gets nominated.
Right.
And then that committee judges on the nominations and decides who wins.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
And so, I have 4 Emmys. They're not all weather, actually.
Oh, okay.
Right, because I do a variety of things at my station. Okay. So the first one was, which it's my favorite one, of course.
Right.
We do a weather special every year, and I actually spearhead us submitting it every year.
Okay.
Because I go around, I collect everybody's, money, information. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Oh, it costs money to nominate yourself?
Yes.
Oh, girl,
there's a fee.
That. Wait, how much is the fee?
Oh my gosh, it depends if you're a member or not.
Oh.
It's tiered. It's tiered. So if you're a member, you have to pay one price. If you're not a member, so you can actually submit and not be a member of the Emmy Award organization or Emmy Academy.
Okay.
So there's that. Yeah.
Interesting.
And
okay.
so if you're in a group, if there's how many group of people are doing it together, you split the cost. And
so when you're judging, do you take someone being a member into consideration?
No, we don't know if they are or not when they submit.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay. And when you're making your selections of what you want to submit, what is that process like? Like, how are you assessing?
Great question. So you got to get a vibe. I keep a running log in my phone on a note, notes of things that I've done during the year. I'm like, oh, you know what? I really liked that. I think I did that. I'm going to put that down as possible Emmy submission, So when the window comes up, I kind of go through and I'll look back on some of the stuff at the station and be like, you know what? That one, I think I want to do that. So that's how it happens for me. The other Emmys I earned are, again, they were in a group. I do a special every year called Tower of Heroes. It's something to do with the climbing of One World Trade Center. We do stories that relate to 9/11 because, there's just endless amount of stories that came out of that. We won them for that one. Another one was our weekend newscast. So, everyone on the team won that one. And another one I'm proud of all of them, don't get me wrong. But another one, we did a special called Caribbean in the City, and I highlighted 6 prominent New Yorkers, which I loved that piece. When we won that, I was like, yes,
love it.
Yes. It was. I'm very proud of that one because it was highlighting New Yorkers, and it was great. Yeah.
So, do you need to submit work that happened in that year that you're submitting for?
Yes.
It can't be past work.
No, it has to be within that. The year, that eligibility year,
okay,
which would be January 1st to December 31st, usually right now it would be for 2023.
Oh.
Yeah, so the Emmys we earn coming up in this coming award ceremony, the material came from 2023.
Oh, so I need to get a move on it because I got some popping material from 2023 that could go really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to find out. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I got to do some research to figure out. But I know they give out Emmys for podcasts and YouTube shows and even stuff you do on social media. Like you said, there's so many categories.
There's even categories for traffic reporting, makeup. I didn't realize there's an award for makeup.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's manifest this, Victoria, Emmy Award winner.
Yes, absolutely.
Manifest this.
You can reach out anytime if you want to chat more.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm so excited. All right. No, because I need to have my shrine. You know what?
Once you know, because I didn't know how to do it, but now that I'm telling you, now I can sense. Now you realize, oh wait, this is actually possible because now I know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if you knew her, but her name was Shirley Rodriguez Romanesky.
Yes.
Do you know who she is?
Absolutely.
So Shirley is like my second mother. She took me under her wing when I was in college, and put me on the board of a charter school when I graduated college, got me my first job, Lehman Brothers, after college, made that introduction for me. She took me under her wing. She taught me how to eat lobster, all the things.
I love it.
And she had this, I remember visiting her home. She had a home right across the street from Central Park. And she had this shrine of all her awards and accomplishments. She had all the pictures, Nelson Mandela, all the pictures. And I remember in that moment thinking to myself, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to emulate this. I'm going to figure out how to have all of my accolades on a wall. And so that was the seed that was planted back then that now is coming to fruition, meeting you, putting me on game with the Emmys. So shout out to Shirley Rodriguez Romanesky. I miss her so much.
Yeah.
She was such a
force.
Yes. Such a force. Yeah. And a lot of the woman I am today is because of her. Because I got to literally be her right hand. She would take me to everything. Wow. I would be in all the insider conversations with top politicians. She would take me to Washington. She would take me to Albany. She would have me in her room when she was negotiating, when she worked at the Empire State Development building, and she was with Cuomo under the time. She would bring me into these meetings, and I would just be a fly on the wall, and she would just let me observe, and I would see her in action, 100 Hispanic Women, her nonprofit. I was an intern at 100 Hispanic Women when I was in college. That's kind of how I met her, and we met and instantly connected.
Well, I know whatever you put your mind to, you're going to do, because to have her as your mentor, amazing force.
Yeah, she really, really was.
Now I see why you're so forced. You're an amazing
thank
force.
You. Yes, listen, I come from a lineage of women who poured into me and showed me the way, and she was definitely one of those women who saw something in me when I needed her most.
Well, now that you've told me that connection, I see you.
You see
now
me
I see you. Right. Connect somebody with someone else, and you're if you're connected with that person, I know that you are something. Yeah.
If she was still alive, Audrey, I just think about it all the time. Like I would be in a completely different place than where I'm at right now because she was just so, I'm going to put you in this room. I'm going to introduce you to this person. We're going to position you here. This is where you need to be. Like, that's how she rolled with me. Mm-hmm. So I just know, like, I would be like 10 years ahead of where I am right now. But I also know, like, she's guiding me in this moment as well.
She actually set you up.
She did.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah. She set me up. She gave me the layup. And now I'm just, like, taking it. You know, another story I'll share with you, and then we can move on. I host a women's event every year. And the year she passed away was the same, and they were hosting her funeral was the same day of my conference. And so I dedicated the entire conference to her. Like, I had a whole opening slideshow for her. Like, everyone in that room knew who Shirley was, and, like, she touched them in that room, and that was, like, my dedication to her because I couldn't be there.
Oh, that's amazing. It makes me want to cook.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. It was a moment. Yes. It was a moment.
Wow, amazing.
But yeah, I'll always, like, when I accept my Emmy in my speech.
I can hear it. I can already hear it.
She will be one of the women that I mentioned in that speech for sure, for sure. So let's get into the Talk That Talk segment. What's up, mi gente? Are you looking for mentorship and the place to secure the big bag? Have you ever watched me here on the Banking on Cultura podcast and thought to yourself, you know what? I want to work with Victoria Jen. Or maybe you thought to yourself, I want to be a part of her network of badass women and entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? You absolutely can. Join me this November 15th through the 16th in the heart of New York City for my 7th annual Secure the Big Bag and Wellness Summit. Let's face it, so many of us are tired, burnt out, ready to throw in the towel, honey, and quite frankly, we want to dedicate ourselves to the soft life. But what if there was a way for us to achieve both time and financial freedom and also have a healthy, well-balanced life? What if you could secure the big bag, build a business that fuels you versus drains you, as well as build a solid network of business besties who want to support and motivate you while also centering self? This summit is the premier destination for the latest marketing, sales, and AI tools that can 10x your business while also nurturing your well-being. Learn from top experts from both business and wellness, including executives from the corporate sector, so that you can explore corporate-level opportunities that can elevate your business to new heights. Ensuring you're not just prepared, but fully equipped to dominate in 2025 and beyond. This is your opportunity for your business to thrive while you do too. Head over to securethebigbag.com to check out the agenda and all the heavy hitters that will be in the building. I cannot wait to see you in New York City, mi gente. It's go time. And this is where we address something taboo in the cultura, something that you feel passionate about or something that you want to draw some dialogue around that maybe is not being spoken about enough. So talk to us. What is something taboo in the cultura for you?
Oh, you know, I think we talked about this and I sort of, again, another thing, you're bringing out all the things I don't talk about publicly, right? Go. Okay. You know, I worry about us discriminating against our own. That's what I worry about. I think for me, my experience with that, with me saying that, it comes from an experience of not being Latina enough in some rooms and feeling like because of that, I'm being shunned out by my own people, and it's hurtful. And I'm not, I now know, you know, through time that I'm not the only one that has experienced that. And I would love to just have that not be, right? Because as I told you earlier, like when I see, you know, powerful Latinas on Instagram, I follow you right away. And if I see a, you know, Puerto Rican flag on whatever, I'm not even reading what you're doing. I'm already follow because that's how I choose to show up. Mm-hmm. And it would be nice if everybody did.
Yeah.
Right. There unfortunately have been moments where I have felt that I wasn't. I don't want to say terms that would make anyone. But I love. You know what I love about our culture? We're so different. Like there's so many different facets of us. It's not just one mold, right? Mm-hmm. We come in different shades,
We're not
right?
a monolith,
we come in different shapes. We come in different, like even in different like languages, countries, like
skin tones.
Right. We have such a melting pot within our own cultura. Mm-hmm. it sort of confuses me why I or anyone else within that would be felt like we don't belong, because there is no one mold for all of us, right? And so, yeah, like I have not been part of groups because I felt like I wasn't either loud enough, dark enough. I didn't have enough of an accent. I didn't speak Spanglish enough or full on, Latina enough. I didn't speak enough street talk or whatever it was. It was always not always. So with the times that I've had these experiences, that's what it was. I felt like I just didn't look as Latin as they were. And listen, growing up, like I was always mistaken for Italian or Greek, but again, like I saw so many shades of us in our own culture. I didn't understand it from within us. Why I still wasn't being, kind of within the fold of some things.
You hear this a lot. Can you give us an example?
Ooh, more things I haven't spoken about, right? Getting the hands sweaty now.
Well, this is important, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why Banking on Cultura exists is this is happening often,
right.
And it's impacting how we show up in the world. It's also impacting how we collaborate or don't collaborate with each other. And I believe it's one of the reasons why we can be our own worst enemy, and it's because we don't talk about it. We act like it's not happening, or
yes, you're right.
If we talk about it, it's in our own little separate silos. But when many of us are experiencing the same thing, something needs to change.
Correct.
So yes, I would love an example.
The one that really sticks out, the one that just struck me immediately was in college. I very much wanted to be in a sorority. Like truth be told, I wanted to do it because I wanted to go to the parties.
They look kind of exciting. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and so right. I was very social in high school. I was going to college. I'm like, I want to do that whole thing, and so there was. I did the whole rush process. There was a Latin sorority starting up. And I thought, well, I want to do that one, right? Because I'm Puerto Rican, I should do that one. And I felt shunned. Most of the girls were, I guess, way more Latina than me. And it hurt. And so I ended up joining a predominantly Jewish sorority, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. And interestingly enough, I brought in Latin girls into the sorority over time because they saw me. When you meet the girls in Rush, I would always sway over to the Latin girls and I'd be like, hi, meet them and stuff. And my house ended up becoming more mixed. It wasn't predominantly, it was predominantly Jewish, but there were, other cultures and sorts in there. And so, yeah, that was it's sad when I think about that because it didn't have to be that way, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have had that little piece, because you're always connected with your house, your sorority house, your group. And I don't have that in the Latin form. I love my Jewish
right.
house. I do.
Right.
They're great girls. And but yeah, that would be the example I would share.
It's interesting that you say that because I find that a lot of us tend to go where we are accepted, right? And go where we feel welcomed. And it is unfortunate that...
Or even that where you think it's familiar.
Right.
That's why I was going. That's what's familiar to me. I like to be around my Latinos.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I believe that's why you find a lot of, Latinos in Black communities, like collaborating, making money together, making moves together, because there's an acceptance there that unfortunately you don't see in the Latino community. It's not as prominent. Like, for example, I was having this conversation with a girlfriend of mine, and we were talking about how her and I, a lot of our opportunities that are coming to us are through Black women, not through Latinas. Latinas are actually the one talking shit and trying to block us from the opportunities. And how can we change this? What needs to happen?
I know for myself, I've pushed because listen, that experience and maybe a couple of others had made me feel like, well, it made me shy away actually from groups. But as I got older, right, because this was like teenagers years and 20s, but as I got older and started being in my career and meeting more Latinas, And realizing that I had a place that I was moving into a leadership position by being who I was, being a meteorologist, a Latin one, that kind of sort of thing. I needed to insert myself is what I did. I basically inserted myself in Latin groups. I just showed up. And maybe the TV thing made it easier for me to show up because now I was known. I'll give that. I'll give that. Yet I still needed to show up, like, because I was scared. Mm-hmm. I was scared, and I still showed up at groups and felt like, I don't speak fluent Spanish. I speak Spanglish, and are they going to really accept me? And then, people will talk to me in Spanish, and I'll answer in English. I do understand. I didn't know if it was going to be offensive, but I think over time, well, first of all, they accepted me. And I think part of it may have been the TV thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, I took that. I feel like they gave me the ball, and I ran with it by showing up in a supportive manner for whatever the organization was. I've been on boards of organizations. I offer myself to speak anywhere. I host many things. And so I feel like I inserted myself. I had to. Mm-hmm. I had to because I had to show that I actually love being Latin. I love being Puerto Rican. And if I'm shying away from it, how is that showing the cultura that I actually do feel proud of being Puerto Rican? Yeah. I have to walk the walk. I have to talk the talk.
Yeah. Be the change you want to see.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a great takeaway. So if you're resonating with any of this and you feel like an outcast or you feel like you're not being accepted,
reach out to me. I'll talk to you.
Reach out to Audrey. She'll talk to you. But the main takeaway is insert yourself. Like it's a leadership attribute. Like if you want to see the change, you have to be a part of the change. And it doesn't happen if you're just talking about it in conversations with your close confidants. It happens when you take some action and you start risks. Leading by example, right?
Yeah,
and taking the risk and inserting yourself, even though at first you might feel like,
and listen, you can be scared.
Enough.
You can be scared and do it anyway. That's the definition of courage, right?
Right.
Having the fear and doing it anyway, and you'll find your people. I feel like I found my groups. Actually, I don't think I even found anybody that actually shut me out after. But the thing is, like, you start to feel, and once you're confident in yourself, and like, listen, I know I deserve. I earned my spot here. I deserve to be here. Mm-hmm. I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine who. She's amazing. Her name's Paris Alexandra. She runs the Brooklyn Wellness Center, and she's an entrepreneur type. And she went to a conference, and she called me from Tennessee, and she says, "I'm in this room with millionaires, and they're all entrepreneurs. And what am I doing here?" And I said, "Girl, you better get out of that hotel room and you go right back in that ballroom, because let me tell you something. You belong in every room that you're in. Everyone in there was you at one point. Those are the people you need to be around right now so that you can learn from. They were you." You walk back in there. You belong in every room that you walk into. Yeah. And so that's what I take with myself. I'm like, I belong here. So if I feel like I belong here, then it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And who cares what someone else thinks?
Most of the time, I haven't really had much resistance, because I feel like when I show up at something, listen, you do it responsibly. I'm not showing up at places that I feel like, there's places you feel like I don't really belong here.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like, if I'm Puerto Rican and I'm Latin and I'm a female, I belong in a female Puerto Rican organization, don't I? Right?
Yes,
I mean, hello.
Yes.
So absolutely. I'm going to show up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Own the space that you're in, own the skin that you're in, and have the confianza to like walk into these spaces and own the room. Love that. So Audrey, tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Fox 5 in New York, right? You can also stream it. We're at fox5ny.com. Social media platforms, it's all Audrey Puente, one word. All of them except for TikTok. Someone beat me.
Someone beat you and got your name?
Yeah, so I'm the Audrey Puente on TikTok. I'm not into the "the." I know people need to do it, but whenever a platform comes out, I always jump on it right away, whether I'm going to do it or not, just to get my name, because there are other Audrey Puentes. Yeah. Not this Audrey Puente.
Right. Not there
are other people who have the same name as me.
Right. Yeah.
And what's funny is that I follow all of them, and like we follow each other.
I love that.
Yeah.
The Audrey Puente crew.
Yes. I one day want to have a meetup with all of us.
Yes.
Like there's one in Texas, there's one in Alaska. I mean,
wow. I love it.
Yeah, they're all over.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on Banking on Cultura.
Thank you for inviting me.
You being here, sharing your thought leadership, coming through with your energy. It is truly an honor, and just, I'll see you on the Emmy stage, girl.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. I look forward. You bring the Emmy to lunch. We'll have a lunch with the Emmy.
Right. We'll bring our Emmys to lunch.
Yes.
Emmys and tea and
Yes.
lunch. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
We'll bring them out on a date. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'm pretty sure you're going to love the next one. So make sure to click right here and tap into the next episode.